Testing, testing. 1, 2, we on the air? Hello, everybody. I think we're good. Welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick. Justin will not be joining us for this week. He is, like I said in the previous videos, he'll be away for the next several weeks, so it'll just be me. Uh, this is actually a good opportunity, I think, because this is kind of allowing me to try a little bit more experiments. This is going to be more, less B-roll footage of gaming in the background. It's just going to be more my desktop. Reason is because I do not have a split screen and a big rig. I'm doing this all, full admission, on a laptop, so if you don't see any gameplay and just seeing this image of a seal in front of you, do not adjust your monitors. That is intentional. Also, kind of get to see some of my guilty pleasures over here, my Genshin and Star Rail, and I do Metros. I don't know. I think that's redeeming. I think that's redeeming. Anyways, so yeah, let's just go straight into the news this week. It's been blowing up all over that Tencent has got sued by Sony. Yeah, straight up. So if you haven't been aware of the story, let's just kind of start at the beginning. I think this is this one. Here we go. So it all kind of started with this game here, Light of Mortarim? Mortarim, I believe it's pronounced Mortarim. And this was announced back in November 27 of 2024, right? It's Polaris Quest, a subsidy of Tencent and a developer of Aurora Game Studio, announced Light of Mortarim, an open-world survival crafting game with mechanical animal, can't speak, excuse me everyone, mechanized animal beasts that, as this article, even the very beginning, points out, resembles Sony's Interactive Entertainment's Horizon franchise. And yeah, so this was kind of announced by a subsidy of Tencent, Polaris, and they wanted to release it. And there, like I said, there was talk of it being on, PC, iOS, and Android. Interestingly enough, PS5 as well. I don't know if Sony would be kosher with releasing a rip of their own stuff on their own platform, which they did not end up being. Yikes. But yeah, no. So, and it kind of just goes on about how it explains the game. Again, as always, all this will be linked down in the description. I won't be covering all of this in detail for the sake of time and brevity, but again, all this is linked down below if you want to look at it. But anyways, it continues. Just kind of a brief overview. We got in a world overrun by colossal machines, explore a vast world, build your base of operations, advanced technology, train what they're calling mechamals, which is interesting, and take on formidable bosses, starting from the primitive age, forge a new path of development. So yeah, it's kind of got that whole tribal vibe to it. I mean, you can kind of see it. If you played the quests, if you're not the played the quests, if you've played Horizon or if you've seen the art for that game, you're probably looking at this and going, "That looks very familiar." Again, we'll get into it. So yeah, this is kind of where that goes. This Light of Mortarim was announced back in November, and people were quick to point it out. And yeah, apparently it didn't take long for Sony to also kind of get this and also to respond, because that brings us to today, where Sony is suing Tencent over this very project. Light of Mortarim is getting Sony is SIE, I should say, Sony Interactive Entertainment is suing Tencent over a ripoff of the Horizon franchise. And again, you can kind of see right here. I mean, this, I don't remember what this creature's called in Horizon, but it looks very similar to it. Again, I think we can go down. We can see more of them. Is it in this article? No, it might be in this one, which we'll also get to. But again, I am not into playing in the background. Trailer. Whoopsies. No. Excuse me. I do not have an editor, so I will not have to cut that out. But I do not cut things out for you guys because this is a live show, so whatever happens, happens. Anyways, enough of my own sugar glozing. Let's just go straight back into it. So yeah, and again, it kind of the article states that several months ago, i.e., back in November, Tencent revealed that its big new game, revealed a new project, Light of, again, Mortarim. I'm just going to stick with Mortarim. A futuristic open world game from studio Polaris Quest, who we covered before, where machines ruled the land. If that sounds familiar, the actual trailer and its cybernetic animals only further uh, imply implied a specific inspirational source. Excuse me, my tongue and brain are not willing to work together today. Sony and Guerrilla Games Horizon Studios, or Horizon series. New Sony is taking Tencent, now Sony is taking Tencent to court over it. So yeah, that's where we are right now. Sony is taking Tencent to court. It's still pretty early on. We haven't heard much in terms of it. I mean, the suit itself, as the article does mention, which was filed on July 25th, so only a few days ago, intends to block Tencent from releasing the game, which it argues violates Sony Interactive Entertainment's intellectual properties, while also seeking $150,000 in statutory damages for each separate work in the Horizon series infringement. So my guess is like each one of the kind of like things that look similar. That's just my guess. I'm not a legal expert either, so don't take my word as gospel here. But yeah, and this is just kind of blowing up all over the news. again, you can kind of see the trailer that we had kind of playing here by accident. There is similarities to it. Let me just like skip to some bits and without playing it, like I don't know, I can see it. Like this definitely looks like I think the glider from Horizon Forbidden West. The background looks very similar. Again, it does certainly have some allegations to it. Again, this point even actually weirdly enough, as I'm reading this on the bottom here, it even points out player character lands on a bleach in a glider, much like the one in actually it points out Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is interesting as well. That does also kind of have that one, but I do believe you have a glider very similar to that in Forbidden West as well. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting credibility here. I'll be interested to see where this kind of goes. I mean, we can already see people online certainly have not taken, well, I wouldn't say well to this, but we can already see, like here on Reddit, you can already see people comparing. This is the shot I was talking about earlier. Here's the kind of like different shot. Again, you can kind of see the comparisons. Weirdly enough, actually, I think in Horizon Zero Dawn itself, there's actually a opening shot in the credits, not in the credits, in the beginning menu that actually looks very similar to this, even more so than this one, though I do not have that on me at the moment. And like I said, you can definitely see people like let me just pull this up here for you guys. You can definitely see people like comparing the designs. Again, there's this tribal aesthetic here. There's I'm not gonna play the trailer for you guys, but if you watch the trailer for Light of Mortarim, which was in the first one we covered, the first article that was talking about it, there's actually a trailer I believe that shows heavy bow uses, and Aloy she uses the bow very exclusively. There's a lot of here we go. And here's the creature comparisons we were talking about earlier. Here's Horizon, here's the Light of Mortarim. It's I wouldn't say it's 1-to-1, but there's definitely a lot of heavy influence here that you could definitely say does kind of look very similar. And yeah, you can definitely see most people are not on Tencent side here, to put it lightly. It is interesting to put though. Again, it'll be interesting to see how Tencent and their company, whose name I've already forgotten. Goodness gracious. I am terrible at memories. How their actual company will actually respond to these things. Like I said, how will Polaris Quest kind of justify it? Will they just say it, was inspirational? Will they be able to claim that it's all based on, inspiration? I mean, I this is the part where I could kind of go back to Destiny and be like, aha, look at the heavy inspiration of Bungie. But then again, Bungie's been very open about their inspiration. This one hasn't. There's a whole discussion you can have here about if this is actually, gonna fly or not. I can definitely though see Sony again not being very kosher with this. Like I said, I just don't find it hilarious that they wanted to release this on the PS5 as pointed out here. I do not know, like I said, if Sony would have been kosher with that, and we got our answer. They straight up sued them, so the answer is no. So yeah, and again, here's kind of the more base building, like mechanics based stuff. It almost strikes me as like Horizon Zero Dawn if they tried to make an MMO out of it. Honestly, it does kind of. Honestly, and even, let me see if I can get a good shot for you guys. There's a creature you ride around in. I can't remember where it is. And again, creatures like here, you can see kind of the elk design that was in Horizon. But anyways, let me see if I can get a good shot for you guys. There is one creature in particular that looks very much like the mount you use in Horizon. Again, name I cannot remember. It's been a hot minute since I played the games. I cannot find it. Anyways, it is in the trailers buried somewhere. But yeah. So yeah, it will be interesting to see, like I said, how Polaris Quest will be able to kind of what their defense will be. Will they just say, it was heavily inspired and therefore it is not subject to, the lawsuit has no merit, or will they say, or will Sony be able to justify that yes, there is so much similarity here that you cannot have this game? And like I said, they're trying to seek 150,000 in damages, or 100,000, 150,000. 150,000. Yes, I was right. 150,000 in statutory damages for each separate work, mind you, in the Horizon series that was infringed. So pretty much 150,000 for each thing that looks very similar. So this could be one of those $150,000 claims right here, as well as just straight up blocking it from being released. So not only will the game get killed, but Aurora Quest or Aurora Quest. Why do I keep wanting to say Aurora Quest? Is it them? Polaris Quest. Polaris Quest. My goodness. Excuse me for naming right now. My brain, like I said, does not want to work. But yeah, Polaris Quest and by extension Tencent will have to pay that. Tencent certainly has the cash, I would like to say. So I don't think, at least financially, Tencent will be impacted, but this definitely doesn't look good in terms of optics, shall we say. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. It's blowing up all over the news, and like I said, you can already see, like, over here, Vice even caught onto it. So's Tencent, it's getting up there. Again, the more you look at it, the more, not these things, the more you can kind of see the comparisons. It'll be interesting. Like I said, all of this will be in the description if you want to dig deeper into it yourself. It's blowing up all over the news right now, so if you're following the game's news, you've probably heard of it, but I thought I'd just give my 2 cents on it. It's interesting to see. We'll see how it goes, like I said. But yeah, that's the news for this week. Excuse me if I'm a bit more sporadic as usual. This is my first one working just by myself without Justin here to bounce ideas off of, and I'm also running all the tech on the back end myself, so I've got OBS, which for people who do streaming and stuff like that probably don't see that as too complicated, but I have actually not done too much streaming myself, so yeah, it is somewhat not new to me, but is definitely something I'm not very versed in. Certainly not as much as Justin. So forgive me if this one doesn't look as polished as our usual videos. Hopefully, or I will be able to get this polished up as the weeks go on. And yeah, again, there won't be any editor as well. I don't have a video editor in the background, so oopsies. If you see any glitches in the final product, that is just me being lazy in your traditional, I don't wanna do kinds of things like that. So yeah, that's this week's video. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all saw it, and see you next week. And yeah, bye bye, everybody. Ah, no. See what I mean? Not very good at this.